And we are live. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Holy Crap, the Vlogcast. Vlogcast comes from a skeptical point of view to answer some of the questions of why. Vlogcast started as a combination of spite and the Streisand effect because, holy smoke, man, last second changes and updates to stuff. I so love when that happens, and if you think you know what I'm talking about, you have no idea. Trust me, you just don't. And that's okay. Part of this is to follow through with the old adage that sometimes the journey is more important than the destination. I'm your main host. I'm known as Shujin, and you can find me pretty much everywhere under that name. That's Shujini, and I want to bring something up about that really quickly before I head. There are so many people who are on YouTube who are using absolutely a pseudonym, and they say my name is, and they use the pseudonym. No, man, that's not my name. Do I think of myself by that term sometimes? Yeah, I do. I'll admit it. But that's not my name. You wouldn't know it with some of the people that I hang around with, but that's... Guys, don't say that's my... Don't. Just, come on. Anyway, speaking of not my name, being able to join me from the Midwest of the U.S., where they're not sniffing puppies tonight. There's a reference. Brigid Fitch, good morning.
It's still evening here, but howdy.
I'm having a little bit of fun at your expense. Some reasons. Don't worry. You guys don't need to know the why. Just know that we're both having a good smile tonight. I'm going with that, and that's so. Seeker.
Are you flooded out?
No, and I don't know
good.
why we would worry about that. Is that stuff that's going on New York City way, perhaps?
I saw Brooklyn.
Wait, where?
Brooklyn.
Brooklyn.
Yeah.
Brooklyn, like where I was born. Brooklyn, like a 7-hour drive away from where I am, Brooklyn.
Yeah, Brooklyn, New York City, yeah, stuff like that, flooded.
Nowhere near there.
Okay.
A
Okay.
7-hour drive away from. Do I
So
feel
good.
bad for my countrymen down there? Yeah, but at the same time, right near the water's edge anyway, guys.
Yeah, that's true.
Go. Unless you got pumps running, and then it's just a big circle of water.
Just wasn't sure how much of the state was like flooded.
Fortunately, not very much. At least not coming
Good.
up over this way.
Good.
Don't worry. We'll have snow soon enough. I know. I'm not supposed to be talking. I mean, the Buffalo Market. It's the beginning of spooky month, where we should be expecting some. Not today. Friday it was 81 degrees Fahrenheit when I finished work 6th night. So that was a fun day.
81's not too bad.
It is when you're trying to move around and physically move stuff out of cars and into the shop, and then out of cars and into the shop, and then around the corner in order to dump it because it's a 6.5, 7-foot piece of crap wood that they say, oh, somebody's gonna want this shelving unit. No, not when there are nails poking out of the front side of it. Thanks.
Ooh.
Yeah. But they had already unloaded it, so I couldn't just go ahead and say, oh, yeah, something in that condition can't take. Is what it is.
Ooh.
So, hi. Folks, you want to join us and partake in all this? Go ahead and do that by joining us live. We record 12:05 a.m. Eastern Time, meaning U.S., Canada, the Americas, regardless of what YouTube may be saying to you when you first look at the listing. It did it to me again, and I'm getting really annoyed with this, and I'm trying to find out. I keep setting it for the right date and time. And when I go ahead and click on submit, and I look over the information, it got the right date and time. And then I reboot into Windows, and come over and I go looking at it and it's got the wrong date and time when I'm ready to go recording. And it says, no, man, it's not 12:05 the morning coming up. No, you're going live at 8 p.m. yesterday. Oh, you missed that, didn't you? No. Mafangul, eh? Sorry, I'm not supposed to talk like that, but you know, that's the I can get away with that because YouTube isn't going to ding me for that one because that's Italian and bad Italian at that. But if you join us at the right date and times, you can be over in the live chat, kind of the way that group over there. So Seeker's over there, who popped his head up over the back of the couch like Kilroy was here. That's a great reference, and a lot of people don't know that one anymore. And I say that because they're younger people that don't know Kilroy, other than from that Styx song. You know, Mr. Roboto, but I'm a child of the 70s. Deer season just kicked off. Bobbing and weaving. Yeah, deer season. Yeah, driving around in the morning and the evenings now is going to get really interesting in my neck of the woods because most of my area that I drive through is rural and then very light suburb. So yeah, I have to be careful. I see a lot, you know, with the big antler things, and that's going to be a bad day. Anyway, how about you, Bridge? How things going for you? Other than you know, everything should be just fine for you. I think. Sorry.
Oh, don't get me started now. I'm yawning. Thanks.
You're welcome. There's an inside joke. If you folks are not privy to that, so just trust me when I say it's funny as hell. Just trust me on that one.
Yeah. We have woods and things around here too. So, you know, we've got people who hunt. So I'll just be sure not to put any antlers on my head.
Yeah, it's probably a really good idea. That's really. And I was gonna make a joke about moose hunting season, but anything short of the 50 cal armor piercing probably is not the way to go with the moose. And I say that with the idea that, oh my god, how big would a shoulder blade on a moose? I don't want to think about it. I don't want to think about it. Probably take a direct hit from the guns from Yamato to take one of those things. You know, if the Yamato was still above water. That's a whole other thing. That's for another day, maybe. That's for another.
Is moose hunting a thing?
Wait, what? Sorry?
So is moose hunting even a thing?
I don't know. I would imagine so. To a certain degree. Because what natural predators do they, I mean, other than, you know, orcas, I don't know what kind of natural predators they've got out in the wild. I mean, a pack of wolves. I could see a pack of wolves taking one down. Maybe. But that's I don't know, man. I don't know. One of these days we'll get Dalan back on and we'll have to ask him, you know, when he's conscious and awake to be. Sounds fair.
Yeah, because I'm curious now.
Seeker's also saying, last year I was outside with Furball and had a buck jump out of the trees towards us. It stopped, I froze, we both crapped. Buck turned and ran away. We'll never forget that. I don't blame you. I don't blame you. Where I live, I do get white-tailed deer once in a while walking through. Cool. You know, I got no problem with that. I don't see squirrel as much, believe it or not. Chipmunks. And the occasional turkey. Yes, we have not the drinkable liquid type, wild turkey in my parts. And by my parts, I mean in the area where I live. Don't read the wrong way. But, yeah, man, never knew turkey actually did fly until they kind of flew over my car one day, and it's like, hey, learned something new today. They can get some pretty good altitude for
For a turkey.
turkey. I mean, they're not going to go soaring up in the sky with the ravens and whatnot, but they do a pretty good job. How about get things rolling over here, because I don't know how long we're going to last. As usual, we'll see where it takes. So with 5 minutes on the clock, of course, as always, 5-minute freestyle starts right now. Blaspheme or blasphemy. I don't know which way. I hate English where you can have a word that could be read either way and spoken one of more than one way. It drives me up a wall. It's the thing. Anyway, the day that we just left behind, October 30th. That is International Blasphemy Day. International Blaspheme Day. I don't care which one it is. It is what it is. It's an opportunity that we can just arbitrarily say, I'm gonna eat a lot of bacon today, which I didn't do. Kind of feel bad about. You know what? That's fine. Fine. A lot of bacon is probably not so good for you. Although weaving bacon into a mat and then frying that, well, maybe not frying that, baking that, and then making that a layer of its own on your sandwich. Oh. It's annoying to do, but it's great to do. International Blasphemy Day is actually, once you get past the jokey nature of it, there's actually a reasonable and important reason for it to exist. And that's to highlight the fact that blasphemy is a victimless crime, I believe is the expression that's typically used. You talk bad about somebody, what are they going to do? I mean, yes, you could go for, depending as to which medium you're using, you could go for libel, you could go for slander, but, that's if you're intentionally being mean, we'll just use that word for a second, to a specific person. Because it would be impeaching their character. Well, what does that mean for a deity? Well, unless said deity can be shown to be real and file paperwork and sign said legal paperwork, blasphemy is kind of a non-issue. Or at least it should be. The problem that we run into is that there are so many groups that decide that they're just going to go ahead and, you know what, I'm going to come out on behalf of the God that you've just said bad things about or written bad things about, and I'm going to charge you with being mean to the Almighty, who could just as easily smite you and doesn't for some reason. Shouldn't that be the first indication that there is a deity? Some God form out there of some description. Even a minor deity should be able to, do something. I mean, hell, Darth Vader was able to force pinch somebody's trachea closed so that they couldn't breathe. Well, he's not real either, so I don't know that I'm making the right comparison here, except that I completely am. The idea that you need to have a proof makes perfect sense. You want to tell me that I've insulted your imaginary girlfriend from Canada because, she had to go back to Niagara Falls, you wouldn't know her? She doesn't exist. If she doesn't exist, then if I badmouth a caricature of somebody that you think that you would have a great time with, fine. If I were to go ahead and tell you to your face that you're a liar, well, then, I mean, okay, sure, you know, in public I could do that. But if I were to use that same type of thing in print and put it out there on a billboard and say that you're a liar about that supposed girlfriend from Niagara Falls, yeah, you could perhaps bring a civil suit against me, but there is a defense if the charge is factually correct. So as far as blasphemy is concerned, have at me. Any god, any godling, any minor deity wants to go ahead and smite me down for the things that I say about them because they're all bullshit, you're more than welcome to prove me otherwise. And for any of you out there that think that there really is one and that it's going to be for me to deal with after I'm dead, way to go. I'll be dead. And if you really want to convince other people, convince me in the here and now. Not when I can't talk to everybody else and convince them on your God's behalf. Oh, wait. It won't matter because there isn't one. So why even bother? Gonna go just a little bit longer than 5 minutes. Yeah. I don't. Sometimes that's the way that it works. And you know what? I don't. It is what it is. It is what it is. With that out of the way, and that was, I mean, not nearly as mean-spirited as some of the other ones I've done. I think that was pretty okay. And reminding you that, you know, I don't script these normally. So you get what you paid for, and you guys don't pay for anything around here. So that works out good. How about we have a little bit of fun? We do the horrible scopes, because then we can go ahead and we can talk about some spooky stuff.
Okay, but I was going to say that I had some bacon tonight on your behalf, so.
Aces. Did you have any booze? Because, you know.
No.
Oh, cigarettes.
No.
Caffeine?
Yes.
Yeah. So that's who is it that I'm thinking of? This is the Mormons? So you're not supposed to have like coffee or caffeine, basically?
I think it's hot drinks, but yeah, can't have caffeine.
Don't want to have alcohol. No, sorry. You're not allowed to watch a mixed drink being made, I think is how the law is supposed to work out there. Some kind of weird bullshit about the alcohol consumption out there in Utah. I don't remember exactly what it is because it's all bullshit to me, so whatever, guys. Maybe I should go out there sometime, find out what the actual regs are, and ask for a grasshopper just to see what happens. Because yeah, it's an alcoholic beverage, but is it really though? Is it really though?
A weak one.
Yeah, technically. You ever want to drink what a mint Girl Scout cookie tastes like? That's what you want. Go out there, ask for a grasshopper. Go to a bar, ask the bartender for a grasshopper and see what happens, and watch him kind of give you that blank look in the face and just kind of go, I know how to make that. I know that drink. I know how to make that, don't I? I think I do. It's fun. It really is. So let's do this. Come to horrible scopes. If you know what your astrological sign is, cool. If you don't, I don't really much care. But if you want to roll a d12 and pick one that way, you can take a swing over to Heart of the Games Fredonia over there on Facebook. They are a nice bunch of folks. They sponsor us over here by just letting us use their name because I asked. So let them know that Shujin Tribble sent you. They might sell you something over the... I don't know what they'll sell you, but you know what? Just let them know that you heard about them from here. Remember, that's Heart of the Games Fredonia, home of the Blue Devils out there. Hail, hail, Fredonia. No, it's not a Groucho Marx bit. It is actually a real place. Go ahead and look it up. You'll find out. So with Spooky Month finally happening, it's time to delve into all the spookiness. And you might think we'd be talking about ghosts and ghouls, and you're going to be wrong. We're going to teach you some unusual phobias that you just might have already. So if you're a hypochondriac, this list is not for you. And Brigid, I want you to know ahead of time, I did not practice these phobia names before the show, before tonight's show, and I didn't practice it before last night's premiere. So if I screw up, well, you know how to pronounce some of these a little bit better than I do, I think, because you got a little bit more kind of thing. We'll see how this plays out. Aries, try to imagine that you could be afraid of even yourself. Do you suffer from omphallophobia, the fear of belly buttons? You'll likely avoid seeing or touching belly buttons, even your own. If you find yourself putting a bandage over yours, it's possible you suffer from this condition. So this week, buy some oranges.
Taurus, just listen carefully. Do you like to live in the dark because you have a fear of opening your eyes? Well, there's a term for that, optophobia. Obviously, this can be extremely debilitating considering how visual our world typically is. It's possible that this fear is a result of a traumatic incident. So this week, see if you have any special superpowers, but do it in a safe way.
Yeah, when I premiered these last night, I want to remind everybody what we mean by that is not Safeway, the store, Safeway, as in do it in a carefully controlled environment. And Taurus, if you couldn't figure that out for yourself, maybe superpowers aren't your thing. Gemini, take a breath. Take a super deep breath, because you're gonna need it. If you get stressed out over this term, we might know what your phobia is. Brace yourself. Crap, I get this one. Okay. Hippopotomonstrosis quipedaliophobia. I don't care that I can't string it together. I've tried it. I've actually practiced it once or twice in the past. I can't do it. I'm sorry. Not only is this the fear of long words, it's not actually, but it's one of the longest words in the dictionary. This phobia can be common in people with dyslexia, but come on now. We who grew up speaking English as a primary language know it's from trying not to fail at spelling bees. This week, trust in spell check's functionality.
Cancer Moonchild. Fortunately, you're not getting the so-called clownophobia, but it's a close cousin. Globophobia, the fear of balloons. Imagine what it would be like at your 6th birthday party surrounded by balloons all over the place and some pop scaring the hell out of you. That could scar someone for life. Luckily, hot air balloons don't seem to cause quite the same fear reaction. So this week, take a left turn into Albuquerque and enjoy the balloon fiesta. It ends October 13th this year.
My wife was able to be out there for it some years ago, and by some years ago, I mean, like 20 years ago. And she said it was one of the most amazing things just to watch all the colors and all the shapes, because there are some really funky shaped hot air balloons out there. Just look it up sometime. Actually, remind me later. I'll see if I can find some links to some of the past events and put them into the YouTube links so you guys can take a look at some of those. Leo, sewing isn't in your future. Hook and loop shoes are your fashion choice, and there's no way you're operating a sailboat. If you have a fear of strings, You might suffer from linonophobia. Linonophobia. Yeah, I got it right. Did you play kidnap games or get tied up as punishment as a child? Either you've learned to enjoy it or live in fear of it, and we're not going to judge you either way. Kink shame on this show. This week, find out why we said hook and loop instead of Velcro.
Virgo. Having a problem listening to all these other phobias because you can't figure out which one you have? Maybe you're afraid of choosing which one? Maybe you have decidophobia, the fear of making decisions. That's why you keep coming to these horrible scopes, isn't it? So that we can make all your decisions for you. Okay, then. This week, don't send us any money to keep the answers coming. Just let everyone else that you know hear about how good we are to you. And maybe next week you'll help you choose what to do again. You don't want us to stop now, do you?
Every once in a while, there's just an evil moment, and there it was. Libra, how many slang terms for the word money can you come up with? Now, if you came up with like 5 almost right away, that's pretty good. But if you just had a panic attack thinking about money, you might be suffering from plutophobia. Have you sabotaged your own career to avoid making more money or becoming wealthy? Did you get cold sweats thinking about the responsibilities and pressures associated with having more discretionary capital? Maybe you walk around in fear of being robbed. This week, realize that you're not so important a person as to warrant being robbed.
Scorpio, did you try that exercise too? How many terms did you come up with? Can you count them? If you can't, because you're afraid of numbers, then you're likely suffering from arithmophobia. If doing math or dealing with numbers in general makes your skin crawl, this might be why. This week, listen to the pinball song from Sesame Street.
Did I say that one was the evil one before? I think the evil kind of made its way to a whole bunch of these. Although the pinball song is just really, really cool. Sagittarius, not gonna lie, I think we all suffer from this phobia just a little bit. Nomophobia. Sounds like it should be pronounced no more phobia. It's a fear of being without your mobile phone. So maybe you'd be excessively anxious about your phone's battery being low or being out of service. Maybe you'll obsessively check your phone throughout the day, worrying you'll miss out on contact with loved ones. We could make a disparaging comment like, you won't miss on loved ones because nobody loves you. But that would be unnecessarily cruel. I mean, it's true, but we don't have to point it out to everyone. This week, put the phone down. See, that there's a good spooky month reference for some people to pick up on.
Capricorn, do you know the difference between a goatee and a Van Dyke? Maybe a handlebar and a mutton chop? Or maybe you fear the beard. Pogonophobia is the name to your pain. Maybe you don't like that a beard hides someone's face. Maybe there are subtle micro movements that they make under that natural mask that you can't pick up on because they're covered in hair. Whatever the reason, just know there's a word for it now. This week, do not use Nair on your face.
You ever seen that wording on depilatory creams? Don't use it on sensitive areas. Don't use it on your face. Don't use it around mucous membranes.
Yeah, that would be a really bad idea.
It would be. It would be probably really effective, but oh man, if things go wrong, it's just bad. And for the record, if you'll pardon the expression, what I shave myself into is not a goatee, it is a Van Dyke. Why is it a goatee? If the mustache and the beard part were separated, There's your tip for the day. Sorry for those of you that got the phobia on that one. Aquarius, want to go out for dinner, but not have to deal with dinner conversation? Maybe you still have fears that the airplane with the food on it is going to crash into your mouth again. Maybe you have deepnophobia. Deepnophobia? I don't know if it's... I mean, it's not supposed to be German, though. So, deepnophobia. Sure, I'm going with that. The fear of dining with others. We're not going to judge you for holding your knife like you're some psychopath about to slit the cow's throat, because we know you don't look at us like we're cows. This week, just order some good quality takeaway Indian food and eat it at home. There is a bonus with that, though. You get to use your own bathroom if you have to.
That's a good point.
Mm.
Pisces, let's just make this simple for you. This week, buy a corded hair trimmer with all the attachments and trim your own hair to the 1960s G.I. Joe length. If you have a fear of hair from combing your hair, of thinking it's always dirty, then you might have chaetophobia. Maybe you're afraid of a hairball or getting haircut? Ironically, maybe you're afraid of going bald. This week, find a 1960s G.I. Joe doll and buy it. And look at it. That's right, just look at it. Feel it. Touch it. That's right. Face your fears, Pisces.
I use one of those on my hair because I like how short it is. The downside is, now that it is this short, I know full well where the thinning patches are. And I have thinning patches. I'm getting old. But then again, as the expression goes, what's so bad with not having died yet? Those are your
There's actually a Rush song for that. It's a really horrible song. I think I'm going bald.
descriptive, if nothing else. Those are your horrible scopes for this week. Remember, if you like what you got, I don't care because nobody suggested any ideas for themes this week. But if you'd like to, you can always feed the beast by getting in touch and saying, hey, I would like you to do, and chances are I'll go ahead and I'll do it. I'll have these posted at the end of the week as always. Tumblr, Twitter, Facebook, Discord, Blue Sky. Yes, I still have to get HCTV over on Blue Sky, but the Shujin Triple account is over there, and well, that's kind of the way. Yeah, as far as on the official, speaking that things have gotten, I believe in a word, interesting is the right word for it. I am limiting my attention to Twitter. No, I will not call it anything else because that's what it is. I have no intention of adding new follows on that platform. I got an invite over to Blue Sky, so that's where I'm kind of hanging out with right now. And if there's one thing that I've learned to appreciate, Blue Sky seems to be, I believe the expression is, inundated with furries. And wow, man, that's actually a really cool thing. Because artists up and down the board, I'm enjoying the hell out of it. Oh, right. And there's no algorithm to feed. So it's just everybody helping each other out, including in order to let everybody else know which Nazi furs have shown up and just collectively blocking them as their accounts show up. So community, way to go over there. Thank you very much. Nice to know we're all looking out for each other, right?
Yep. Twitter has become more of a cesspool than it already was.
True that. This is episode 468. On the docket, Your Honor, the Pale Horseman Cometh. Dianne Feinstein is dead. She's very dead. Very, very much ceased to be. She is an ex-senator. Here's the problem that I've got. Are we going to talk about the glass ceilings that she broke through? No, because other groups have mentioned about it. And of course, people can go ahead and look that up. Are we going to talk about all the firsts that she did as a woman in politics? No, because again, other groups have covered that. And that's not what we're going to be doing over here. We're not even going to talk about the fact that she was 90-year-old Congress critter. Actually, is there a similar term for senator?
No, that works.
Okay, we'll just Congress critter. 90 years old. I'm not going to say 90 years young, because most assuredly she was not a young 90. Not like people like, I don't know, Betty White, George Burns. George Burns looked very much old when he was 40 years old. So did Abe Vigoda, but that's neither here nor there for the moment. Dianne Feinstein became a Congress critter at the federal level 30 years ago, at the age of 60. To be president of these United States of America, you need to have a minimum age of 35 at inauguration. But there is no upper limit. There is no term of office save for the presidency, which is only 2 elected sentences, shall we call them, because Lord knows people go into that office looking young. They come out the other end not so much looking. It puts a strain on everything. But that was only enacted because, FDR got elected, 3 times. I forget it was 3 or if it was 4. Be that as it may. So Congress decided they were going to limit the terms for the presidency. And there's something to be said for that. But the problem is, the judicial branch, the Supreme Court, that's a lifetime appointment. Don't think it should be. Very much don't think that it should be in this current day and age. Congress, senators, there is no term limit at the federal level. There can be at the state. Can be. But a lot of states don't have that. So what we're going to discuss is, should there be term limits? Should there be age limits? And is it wrong to do stuff like that, to set an upper age bracket for governance? Because, and here's where I'm going to open it with, as much as I like the idea, there are some that could very easily say, like I pointed out, people like Betty White, people like George Burns. Yes, they were not in governance, but they were very much young 99-year-olds and young 100-year-olds. And they were still doing fine up to the day that they died. So shouldn't we not specifically have upper age bracket limits? So I'll leave it in your lap. What are you gonna say on this one? You gonna agree with me? You gonna disagree with me? You gonna read me the riot act? And let's see what we got.
I don't know. I mean, term limits for sure. Yeah, I think that ought to be a thing. As far as age limits, that one's kind of sticky, because that would be ageist.
Agreed.
However, there are, some people in their 80s that have no business being in Congress anymore because they're not fully in function, they're not in full control of their faculties, let's say, and they need to go.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, Chuck Grassley, I think he's 89. He needs to go.
Yeah. Now, as far as to the ageist argument, I can very well understand that one, and that was one of the ones that I was kind of wrestling with myself. The fact that there aren't term limits makes it difficult to make an argument for, well, that there should be an upper limit to age in government itself.
Yeah, I mean, I think 70 is a reasonable cutoff point. You know, most people are retired by then, and I don't see why people would stay after then. You know, why not enjoy whatever time you got left?
Yeah, and that's where a couple of things started to run through my head. What is generally considered the quote unquote age of retirement in the United States? 65?
Depends on how old you are now. 65 used to be the norm, but as far as like people my age, it's gotten bumped up to 67. They're talking about making it 70.
And part of the problem with that is, what is the generally accepted life expectancy for, well, people of our age bracket?
Like 75.
So, what I was kind of wondering was, if we take the expected life expectancy, which is a clumsy way of putting that, the estimated life expectancy of the society at large, and use that as a barometer of when we can expect people would would be able to survive to. And let's say 80, just as an upward bump for a second. That life expectancy in the country would be 80. Would it not be prudent to have the upper limit for governance be 20 years before, or maybe not necessarily 20 years, but one third or one quarter under the life expectancy, so that it's not something that's quite arbitrary, but it is something where we can say, look, all the numbers say life expectancy at this point is, again, let's say 80 years, just because. Okay, the upper limit for people in Congress, at in governance, especially at the federal level, would be based on that, let's say 20 years prior to that. Okay, so now we've got a window of, most municipalities say you must be at least 18 years. So between 18 and 60, again, just using these imaginary numbers for a second, let's call it 20 to 60. That is a good representation of the population at large, wouldn't it be?
I could see upping it to 65 though. I mean, depending on, you know, what kind of health you're in and all that.
I can I can I can absolutely see that, but the problem is that, as we've seen, there are too many bad actors who will use whatever loophole or push whatever dirty trick, which would include just outright falsification of records, just to be able to glean every last second that they can.
That's what term limits would be for.
Exactly. Exactly. And that's why I'm thinking that the minimally the age bracket would bring things to a screeching halt. And I use that because the possibility of people being voted out of offices after districts have been manipulated and gerrymandered up the yin yang, sometimes that's the only relief some districts are going to have. So, like I said, for me, kind of thinking about trying to think through it, the quote unquote 20 to 60 range seems like a good overall cross section for what America would be. It would be people who are starting families, young family members, people who have been in business for a while, have some beginnings of career. They're young enough to be able to handle the stresses of whatever's going on. The upper brackets start to be the old guard. They are the ones who have generational memory for what's been going on, have a little bit more perspective as to how things go to smooth out the bumps. But they absolutely have to be the ones to eventually go to the wayside of just, look, population doesn't just end with you. Population keeps growing under you. That's where the youngsters have to be allowed to come in. And if you don't like it, well, you may have gerrymandered it so that you can't lose, but you have to lose eventually because Pale Horseman's going to come for you sooner or later. Wouldn't you rather, oh, I don't know, take your earnings and go enjoy your retirement age for, another 20 years?
Well, the thing with that though is, and just, stay with me here.
Sure.
In order to become a Congress critter takes not only money, but name recognition. And it takes experience, and usually it takes experience in some other government capacity before you make it to Congress. And so it's not like most people can start out a career in Congress in their 20s. Maxwell Frost is an exception.
And that's fair.
So usually you have to, the pool comes from someone who was a governor or a mayor or something like that. And it's kind of hard to get younger people in those roles because they have no name recognition. So you have to start, political career somewhere and build your way up. It's usually how that goes.
Sure. And I can well imagine that you're then talking about somebody that let's bump that expectation to 30. Need time to get yourself established. Maybe you're someone who has gotten some professional work into you, especially lawyers. Not that we necessarily like all lawyers over here on this show. There's some we like. There's some that we really can't stand. There's some that have been elected officials that way because there are some districts where, for instance, district attorneys, assistant district attorneys are elected positions, which is fine. But the point being that, are there the exceptions where somebody comes up in their late teens, early 20s? Yeah. And again, we kind of mentioned about David Hogg last week. He's
Yeah.
absolutely a known commodity because he parlayed the tragedy that he went through. He gave a voice and a face, and He has a name. And fortunately, he's not the only one. So the younger ones could be coming in. They could do their thing. They could learn. They could buck the system. They could actually come in and go, why do we do it this way? This is stupid. This is chaotic. This is anachronistic. This is old as hell. And this doesn't get anything done. Let's change it. Personally speaking, I like that fire that's happening from some of these kids. And I say kids, 20 years old, 25 years old. People half my age now. God, I can't believe I can actually say that with a straight face now.
Yeah, but some people may not make it as a senator until they're 50.
Certainly possible. Certainly possible.
We don't have a lot of young senators, and so I'm thinking that's where term limits would come into play. Give them their 2 terms max, and out they go.
Now, the Senate, if memory serves, are 6-year terms, correct?
Yes.
So 2 terms, 12 years. I would be okay with that. I would be okay with that. I don't think that anyone should have a longer term than the president. And if the president's office is 2 terms, then that's where it should be. Now, the problem that we run into is with the Supreme Court. The idea of a time frame on the Supreme Court seems like a good idea. I say seems because that could very easily just become a rolling term limit.
Yeah. I think the number it's been tossed around is 18 years. That's reasonable.
Biggest problem, of course, is trying to figure out who stays, who goes, under what circumstances, and who makes that determination. Obviously, as said before, death comes for us all. So sooner or later, somebody is going to have to be replaced. But the replacement system, if it's borked, well, then what in the hell was the point? And I'm thinking very specifically about Ruth Bader Ginsburg, who, when she died, there were a lot of people who were absolutely furious. And I believe that is the nicest way I can describe the term. With Mitch McConnell for holding up her appointment under Barack Obama. And rightly so.
Yeah.
Rightly so. And like I said, furious is probably the nicest word to use for it. But the problem is, what's to stop anyone from doing that again? From doing exactly that again? Because if it was done once,
there's
it'll happen again.
It's been done once, it can be done again.
Exactly. So there needs to be legislation put into place that actually says, when this happens, when this process has to be done, this process will be done. Period, full stop. Or, well, that therein lies the big question mark as to what to do. Personally speaking, if there was any teeth to the Constitution, these pieces where they say Congress shall, which is supposed to be a when X happens, Y will happen, because that's what's supposed to have happened, so that's what you're going to do. but there's no teeth to it. Because for literally centuries, the idea had been you go into government, you follow the rules, you comport yourself the way that you're expected to, because that's the way that we do it in a civilized society. Thank you very much. And you do what you're supposed to do. There's none of this bullshit of holding up the wheels because you feel like it. There's none of this douche canoery going on. But yet they did. And who would write the new legislations in order to make sure that there were actually teeth behind the legislations? You know what the answer to that is? US, Congress, Senate. Which means they have to write legislation to watch over themselves.
And they won't.
But they need to. And that's
Yeah.
the problem. They need to, and they won't, because that would be undercutting their own power base, which is their own authority, and then, well, why would they ever do that? That would be wrong.
And if it's all about power, then, to me, that's for the wrong reason anyway. I mean, they should be in it to represent people, but that's not the way that it works.
No. No, it's not. And you're exactly right. We've seen that. You and I have seen that very specifically over our lifetime. How things have changed to such an amazing degree. It's absolutely ludicrous, all the pieces that have happened over the course of our lifetime. And in this case, for anybody that's wondering, we'll just cap it at 50 years. All right? In the course of like 50 years, give or take, America went from getting its first steps into powered aviation to landing on the moon. Yeah, it's a little bit longer than 50 years, but I mean, come on, rounding error at this point. And over our lifetimes, we've seen stuff change viciously in the body politic. The body politic. Where did the hell did that come out of my face? That's a new one. Did I try to say the polypolitic? Yes, that's exactly what I tried to say. I don't even know where the hell that came from. No, I've not had any alcohol today, so don't give me any grief. What did we live through? We lived through Vietnam. We lived through Beirut, Palestine, Afghanistan. We lived through Sadat, Libya, Iran, hostages. We lived through a lot. But the things that kept going on our side of the equation, as far as to just growing up, a lot of us didn't really see what was going on when we were younger, because it wasn't really there as much. I mean, they were still reporting, sure, but the same level of access that we've got today, oh hell no. You had to be reading newspapers, man. And admittedly, I read news. It was more for having something to read. I didn't really digest it because, I was a kid. But now, Now these kids, wow, man, they are tuned in, they are plugged in, they know what's going on. And like I said, people like Mr. Hogg are, they're amazing. This generation has basically gone ahead and done what our generation were not allowed to do. And it's just take the whole damn thing by the horns, scream it in their face, get the hell out of the way. We're going to go ahead and we're going to get things done now. Get ready, here it comes. And I am all here for it. Aren't they becoming one of the largest voting blocks? This new upcoming, 18 to 20-year-old group.
Yep.
I am so much looking forward to seeing what happens. These districts where, they've been red districts for a very long time, and they're pretty solidly red, and all of a sudden the kids are coming up and they're just like, nope, you're gonna watch this thing turn on a dime, guys. All these groups that went ahead, had themselves a bunch of babies, and now they're growing up in their areas, and they've been seeing what's been going on. They've been growing up better than their parents, and wow, look at that. Things gonna change.
Well, think of everything that they've been through.
Yep.
Yeah, they've been around long enough to have seen the housing crisis, to live through a recession,
Yep.
to still have to live with mom and dad because they can't afford to move out on their own. Growing up under mass shooting drills.
In the shadow of the terrorist attacks here just after the turn of the century.
And climate crisis. Climate. I'm pulling a Shujin. Climate crisis.
Really? That's what we're gonna call it now? I've already got a rule named after me. Don't even start with this.
And so they're mad. They're not gonna take it anymore.
Fair enough. It looks like Seeker's got to head on out. Take care of yourself, man. They've been handed a shit sandwich.
Yep.
And told, well, the whole idea of leaving things better for the next generation coming up. Well, yeah, that was a nice idea, and it lasted for a good long time. It is what it is. Sorry, kid, you're just not gonna get it. And like I said, our generation, where we're in our 50s, late 40s, early 50s, mid 50s, we didn't get the chance. We really were not given the chance to do the whole governing thing, to guide things going forward. Because once upon a time ago, it was a matter of that, you go in, do 2 terms, 3, maybe 4 if you've done really well for yourself, and you teach, you guide, you mentor, and then you say, look, this is the person that I've been guiding and mentoring, person that agrees with me. If you like what I've been doing, if you think I've been doing a good job because you voted me in a couple of times, cool. This is the person taking over the reins, young spry kid. All right, let's go. Thank you very much. Get off the stage now. Here's their chance. We weren't given that.
Nope.
The ones that were in power when we came in, like I said, 30 years ago for Dianne. She was 60 years old. She could have been grooming. She could have been mentoring. She could have been teaching someone to help with whatever it was that she was looking to do. And just decided that, nah, man, I'll just stick around as long as I possibly can. Why? And us, here we are. We're in our 20s. All right, cool. We're gonna get ready. Nah, it's not yet. Into our 30s. All right, you know what? It's getting pretty close to that time, guys. It's our turn. No, it's okay. We're still good. Guys are kind of getting around in walkers now, guys. Get into our 40s, and still there's just a grab and a hold on to the power for no other reason other than they can. I bet you there's a reason why they wouldn't want to do something like this either. Because at the federal level, you know what, not even that. There is something that has been known as the wedge policy. It's a way of making a little change here and taking a little clink there against various different policies, with the idea that sooner or later you move a policy in a direction that you want. Just a little bit here, just a little bit there, just so that eventually you get to it. What was the one massive policy change where that finally succeeded in the last couple of years, hon?
I have no idea.
Well, how about I give you a hint?
Okay.
You see the hat that I'm wearing?
Yeah.
It's blue, right? What if it was crocheted and pink?
Well, you could either be somebody that was fighting for women's rights, or you could be one of those Code Pink terrorist people who are aligned with Moms for Liberty and totally pro Russia or uh, anti Ukraine.
Yeah, but they're very much not the.
They're not the majority.
They're also not the wedge policy group that were affected. Now, the whole thing about Roe versus Wade and female bodily autonomy and the ability of being able to speak with your doctor because you want to speak to your doctor without interference from the state. Thank you very much. Yeah.
I think it's energized people for 2024, and it definitely played a role in the midterms.
Oh hell yeah. Oh hell yeah. There were a number of states where it was put on the ballot. Do you want to have the right for an abortion, or do you want it to be limited to 6 weeks or 8 weeks or whatever that stupid number was? And the votes came in and resoundingly said, yeah, get your hands off my ovaries, thank you very much.
Yep.
And I'm pretty sure that the Republican Party, the conservative, capital C, conservative groups and parties over here in the U.S. were very taken aback by the amount that those votes came in and said, guys, this is disturbing. So what are you going to do, you know?
Well, the backlash is real.
Oh, hell yeah. Oh, hell yeah. But where I'm going with that whole thing is that without the super long term people, how do you keep that rolling? With the super long term people in place, they get to trade amongst each other and, you know, do whatever it is that they're going to do between each other because they've known each other so long and everybody knows what everybody else wants. Okay, cool. There is something for that kind of familiarity, but the problem also is that they just keep doing, and they keep sneaking, and they keep whittling away at these different pieces and policies. But if you have fewer terms to try to do this in, you have to get stuff done in a tighter window, which means you have to be much more obvious and blatant about what it is that you're doing. But also give the people in the voting community better opportunity to see what it is that you're doing, because you can't hide it in subtlety nearly as easily.
True.
But again, that comes down to the problem of who's going to write the legislation. Who's going to write? Is that the second time tonight where I tried to say two words at the same time and it just didn't come out right? Crap, man.
Well, this is something Gen Z is going to have to fix.
And they're going to. They're going to. They are one of the most. They are one of the biggest voting blocks that's coming up. They're pissed. They are pissed the hell off. And they got every right to be.
Yep.
And I think that's part of the reason why, like I said, our generation and the one below it, we're glomming onto them and we're kind of supporting to a massive degree, because we got beat down. We got beat down because we were not pulled up. And I know that sounds stupid because, well, you know, if you're not being pulled up, well, at the very least, you could be treading water, keeping level. No, that's not exactly how that works. If you're not pulling somebody up, if you're not teaching, if you're not mentoring, if you're not educating, stagnation is not a viable alternative. We said it before. We were the latchkey kids. Came home, we tended to ourselves, and we didn't exactly have anything to really aspire to because we didn't have anything to help us along with.
And we were pretty much ignored. Still are. You even see some of the, poll infographics where they break down things by generation and they still forget us.
Yeah.
And that is no joke.
Yeah.
They skip straight from baby boomers to millennials. They still don't know that we're here.
But we're the ones that brought them up. And a lot of us, we taught them well. Not as well as we would have liked, because what parent thinks that they've done exactly right? None of us have. But some of us have done pretty damned well. There's some really good kids out there. And I think that may be what the best part about what we've been able to accomplish has been. We may not have had nearly as much as what we would have liked, because everything got sucked up before we got to it.
Yep.
But we did pretty damn well with what we had to work. And that was teaching. That was by showing the kids from the generation that's just coming up now that, yeah, we're hurting, we're still going, we're trying. And they're the ones that have looked at that and said, that's not good enough. And I think that's why last week, when we were talking about, with Joseph, about the idea of there being, this 40, 50-year generational changeover in attitudes for sexuality and gender identity. That's when it's going to finally, the tipping point will have happened by that point. I don't think it's going to take nearly that long in politics, not without truly tipping the hands and showing what's going on. And even then, these people are easy into the ages where they're not going to be able to make it very much longer. Sounds bad, but Congress critters who are up in their 60s, late 60s, I should say, 70s and 80s, it's going to be kind of hard to work on that. I mean, Bernie Sanders, forgive the expression, God love him, he's up there.
Yeah.
He's up there. And admittedly, he's still fighting hard for what it is that he believes in. Do I think that he should have been mentoring and bringing people up in order to do, do the work that he wants done, and he sees where things should be going? I think he kind of has. I think he's been one of those people that has been very open, very vocal, very with his constituency in being able to go back to him and say, look, this is what's getting done. This is how we're getting things done. These are the things that you guys need. This is what I'm delivering on. This is what we're making have happen for you. I mean, it's a really crappy imitation of how he would talk, but I think he's done pretty well. It's going to hurt.
Nancy Pelosi has too. With Hakeem Jeffries, I think he's probably going to be the next speaker, and I think he's amazing.
Yeah, how long is it going to be for what's his butt to get kicked out again? And for such
Kevin McCarthy.
For such a stupid. Okay, so to make sure that everybody's on board on this, Kevin McCarthy was voted as Speaker of the House. Eventually, I think is the nicest way of putting that. There were over a dozen votes that had to be called in order to finally settle on Kevin McCarthy. And if memory serves, it was the whole bunch of the Republican Party who were just, squabbling, all trying to find somebody they wanted. I want to be doing it, and I think this person should be doing it. It was like a bunch of, and the Democrats at this point, at the time, were just all, kind of kicking back their feet, putting their hands behind their head. Just, you guys figure it out. We're not going to help you. You guys figure it out for yourselves. You got enough votes. Go ahead. You do your thing. And he's just... Man, he may be losing the job because the Republican Party as a whole, and let's face it, the Republican Party is a whole. Some of you caught up on that one. Thank you very much. They might kick him out of the job because he doesn't want to pursue what is it he doesn't want to do?
He doesn't want to do his job.
Yeah. And even worse than that, he doesn't not want to do what's not his job.
He doesn't know how to do his job. And he made so many concessions and trading favors to get that job to where it's going to be real easy to get him out of that job.
He wanted to open impeachment over President Biden when that isn't the position's power to do. So he overstepped boundaries there. He doesn't really want to do anything with the whole we need to be investigating Hunter Biden because no reasons, and they don't like it that he being wishy-washy about that. And now there's this whole thing with the possibility of shutting down the government because reasons. Oh,
Because
right.
Trump said so.
There it is. Now, memory serves. Try to remember. I might have to go back before my lifetime on this one, and maybe even before yours. Um, the last time the Democrats held up the purse strings and forced a shutdown of the government.
I don't think they have.
Bingo. They never have. Every forced shutdown of the federal government has been at the hands of the Republican Party. And I'm not even saying that from the standpoint of, well, the Democrats and the Republicans, they switched parties and no, we're not doing that. We don't have to, because
It's been during our lifetimes.
yeah, for no other reason other than, well, you know what, we're not getting what we want, so we're gonna hold our breath until somebody passes out. Freaking screaming memes, little babies. That's why, like I said, there should be actual teeth in the Constitution for if you don't follow the rules. But stuff like that was never put into place because it was simply a non-issue. You did what you were supposed to do. You followed the rules. This is what it says. You shall do this, and well, yeah, okay, let's do that, because that's the way that it was done. But in the modern age now, it's more a suggestion than anything else. Which is, yet again, another reason why I think there needs to be a remedy for getting people out of office after too long.
Yep.
Is it ageist? Well, yes. But it's ageist, I believe, for the right reason. The same way that you can say, well, you want to be inclusive and tolerant, but you won't be inclusive and tolerant of my intolerance to people that you want to be inclusive with. Why would you punch a Nazi when don't you want to allow everybody to have their voice? Now, there are certain limits to everything. Punch a Nazi Day is, well, check my wristwatch over here. Every day, that's it. Why? Because they are antithetical to society's well-being. It needs to go away. Pure and simple. I mean, you don't like that you're getting punched? Well, how about you don't be a piece of shit? Sorry. Don't be a nut. Oh, repeating myself. Should there be an upper age limit? Should there not be because it's ageist? Yes, it is ageist, but like I said, for a good reason. Because the majority of society in this country would fall between 20 and 60 years of age. Currently, that shifts, that changes, especially in wartime, which is all the more reason to have a group of younger people to be able to come back and say, look, yes, we're a little bit more reactionary because we don't have nearly as big a perspective as some other groups, but at the same time, guys, your inaction needs to be tempered against we need to get shit done. So how about we get shit done and you find a way for us not to run everything off the rails and we'll find a way of getting stuff done that you don't want to get done because you don't want to make waves. So like I said, is it ageist? Yes, but I think it's ageist for the right reason. So what do you think about that argument? Because I know that I really tried really hard to think about it in terms of, is there a right, is there a wrong? Where does it fall by the wayside? Where does it pick up correctly? And honestly, I'm really not sure which way I really do think it should go. I think Nancy Pelosi should be one that should step out.
Yeah, I think that 75 is probably a reasonable stopping point, and she's over that. And for the Supreme Court, I think a term limit of 18 years, would work. And anybody that's been on the bench over 18 years, go now. And, get new people in there.
Good. I need to figure out where this is coming from, but I just pulled up a God, I got no way of crap. I got no way of showing off what it is that I've got over here. I asked Google US life expectancy, and I have a graph in front of me that shows the life expectancies from 1960 through to 2020 as a graph, showing Canada currently 81.75 years, United Kingdom 80.9 years, and over the last couple of years, life expectancy has dipped in the United States to 77.28 years. The last time it was 77.28 would have been 2003. We are back at 2003 levels. And I wonder, believe it or not, considering this sharp decline, I wonder if COVID had a huge hand in that, because there was also a downturn, although not nearly as much, both Canada and the United Kingdom.
Yeah, COVID had something to do with it, that's for sure.
Yeah, because the dip, according to this, started 2019. And you take into account the data immediately following that. Yeah, that's yeah. So yeah, 77 years.
Okay, so make that upper limit 70. I think 60 is too young.
I don't know. I don't know. See, the problem with this is that, where do you set the limit? Because you don't want to you don't want to cut off people who may be, quote unquote, a young 70 or young 65 as 60 or whatever the case may be.
Right.
But at the same time, you have to have some kind of. And I'm saying that from the standpoint of you don't actually have to because we don't currently have one. I'm saying from the standpoint of if you don't want death to be the ultimate limit on terms, which regardless it's going to be sooner or later. How do you do it in a way that is fair? If you set one at all.
That's where term limits come into play because I don't think that Congress should be a lifetime appointment.
And I agree with you. I tend to agree with you. 2, maybe 3 terms. I don't think there should be anyone hitting 20 years in governance. Period.
All right.
So the idea of this becomes interesting. With any luck, we'll have 13 Supreme Court justices soon. And I say that from the standpoint of soon being within the next 10 years. I hope. The way the Republican Party is fracturing and splintering, I wouldn't be at all surprised if Democrats start taking far more control over air because, well, wishful thinking on my part.
It needs to happen.
It does need to happen. But with the Republican Party cock blocking everything at every turn, every dirty trick they can possibly come up with, that they can't come up with a good one. So, if it's 6-year terms for the Senate, if we end up with 13, that would mean that you would kind of have to get rid of, oh, pardon me for doing this, what, 4 Supreme Justices? Every term? That's going to be a pain in the ass. That's going to be a pain in the ass. Logistically speaking. Would it be worth it? If things were working the way that we would expect that they should, the way that they have previously, without this whole, behind the scenes coordinated attack on people's rights, I wouldn't mind it being a, trade them out once every session. But the idea of having to confirm 4 every 6 years, I mean, basically 1 a year with 2 years to not worry about it. Sounds kind of doable. So maybe? With, you know what? I could see there being 1 left over from the group that would hold over for one extra session. And that would be whoever is the, oh God, what's the title for whoever it is that's quote unquote in charge, the most senior Supreme Court justice?
Supposed to be the Chief Justice.
Yeah, but that job has been very much, what's the word that I'm looking for? Perverted.
Yep.
I think that's what I'm for it. Corrupted. I really shouldn't say that because it's justices who have been corrupted from the get-go. I still am never gonna get over the idea of Beer Boy crying at his confirmation hearing, trying to explain how everything was fine, everything was above board. We all drink, you drink, right? Grow up. But yeah, the one holdover being the Supreme Court justice who is in charge, so that they can be there for just a little bit longer, so that they can make sure that whoever it is that's going to take over the position is properly trained in the job. Then again, I'm also not a constitutional lawyer. The hell do I know? This guy with a microphone who's really tired at almost 2 a.m.
Yeah.
But I can dream. And that's kind of the reason for even things. I don't know that there's anything really to go over without going over stuff that we've already done at this point. I mean, I don't like not having a good answer on this one, but I mean, we kind of bill ourselves as not necessarily going looking for answers. But this is one I really wish I had any kind of an answer that anybody could follow, because damn it, this is one of those times I really wish that we could change on this item in particular. I wish. You got anything specifically on topic to finish off with? Because otherwise, I don't even know what else we could even talk further into.
I don't think so.
I think this one's pretty well run into the ground, because I don't think I think the only thing that's going to end up happening with this one is we're going to have a sit back, wait and see kind of thing, and it's going to be happening long after this show is over. I mean, not just this show, but I mean, the series. I just want to be around to see it. We'll see how this works out. So we'll do that. We'll call it a night, and thank you guys, of course, as always, for being with us. Hope that you found something worthwhile in our perspectives and you got something to think about for the week ahead. Seeker had to leave earlier, so just thanks for being there, man. Take care of yourself. See you. Yeah, we'll see how things play out. I do want to make a last second acknowledgement for UnrenownedTech. No, he was not here. He had reasons. He's out of town. So, Tech, if you happen to be listening to the show, first off, you're a braver man than you otherwise would be. At least you didn't fall asleep on us, so take care of yourself, and thanks. Brigid, there's plenty of people to go around to be specifically targeted tonight. Who would you like to, well, for once, who would you like to give a big thumbs up to?
I'm gonna give a big thumbs up to, I can't remember his name, but there was some Congress critter during the impeachment inquiry that came out and said, let's have a vote. Let's have a vote now. Do it. And nobody took him up on it because he knew that there wouldn't be enough votes and he knew that it was just a dog and pony show. And I was like, yeah, you go, dude.
There were a couple Congress critters this week in committees. I forget who it was, but there was one lady. She was up over there. She had her time, and she railed against, when we talk about evidence, they don't know what the hell it is they're talking about. But look at this printout. This looks like government secret document information in the shitter. She literally said in the shitter. And
She
she was
was on
right.
fire.
She
Oh
was,
my God.
yeah, man. Just, there are some people, there are some Congress critters out there who are relatively young. And by relatively young, what were they like? She was, what? She's like in her early 30s, I think.
I'm not sure. I mean, she didn't look very old to me,
No, hell no.
but she was on
She,
fire.
she was a goddamn spitfire, man. She was ready. She was not even bothering to take names because it didn't matter, because screw y'all. But yeah, that was beautiful to see, man. That was beautiful. I will see if I can. I will see if I can remember to um, get a link in for folks for later, because that was glorious. But simultaneously, I'll tell you, I'm very much thumbs upping whatever judge it was that went ahead and said, yeah, Trump organization, you guys have been defrauding everybody for a very long time. So, yeah, we're not even going to have a trial about this because it is self-evident from the facts here. There is no excuse. And, yeah, your business certifications here in New York State, they're revoked.
Yeah,
So
that was pretty awesome too.
whichever judge you were, I mean, never mind the revoking business licenses and certification and whatnot. For a judge to come out and say, um, there is no need for a trial because the facts speak for themselves. There is no question on the facts of the case, so done. Thank you. Nice and speedy. Really appreciate that. So that was good. On the alternative, who deserves a big old flying asshole award from you?
Whoever passes how can I put this? The continuing resolution, I realize that they need to keep the government open, but stripping the funding from Ukraine just pisses me the hell off.
Yeah, yeah. The ones who went ahead and said, yeah, we know that thousands upon thousands of people in the operating the federal government won't get paychecks, but they'll get back pay, so it'll be fine. First off, fuck you in your face. But additionally, having said, yes, I will accept my check, I will continue to receive my check because I didn't write the Constitution. You
Yeah.
have many holes in your face, and I know that there are a number of people that would love to park a bus in every single one of them, all the way through your cranium. Screw you so hard.
Yep.
The only people that you're going to end up hurting are the ones that are voting you out. But we got to wait till next year to find out. Tune in next year in November. Same bat time, same bat channel. We'll see how that plays. Like I said, at least I can hope. Oh, and item last. I love the fact that somebody called that Republican debate a clown show. I'm sorry, no. Clowns are supposed to be funny. I don't know, man. Whatever, whatever. Not my call. Not my call. They implode. You know what? That's fine. It's fine by me. It'll be what it'll be. We'll just wait and see how that all plays out. So we'll do that. Folks, thank you, of course, as always. If you'd like to be in touch with us, take a swing over to holycrapthevlogcast.com. We've got all of our contact info. We've got the voicemail number over there. 859-HCTV 554, 859-4288-554. The download link for the audio version of the show is also there. And we will be looking forward to seeing you again, well, next week. Now, there is going to be a bye week coming up. I'll give you information about that a little bit later. But for right now, thanks for being with us. Please take care of yourselves. Be safe driving out there. Like we said, there's a time when deer season is happening. Please be exceedingly careful. So till the next time we're together, everyone, as always, I wish you the peace I no longer have. I wish you the strength that I've learned. I wish you well. And my lady, 18 plus years, 35 years, I am still in love. Well, Tene Fujin. I love you. I miss you. Crying. Dream of me. Till the next time we're together, everyone, as always, good night.